Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. It's Salwa here. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So this video is a little bit different. I'm not doing a vlog. I'm just going to show you how I make my chocolate chip cookies. So I made cookies yesterday but one, and they turned out like so good. So I figured, you know what, let me just share the recipe. So if you're like me and you want to make like really good cookies, this can guide you. However, I should also let you know that I got this recipe off Pinterest. That is my go-to place for anything like fashion and all that. So we are going to start with some vanilla extract and then 2 egg yolks. Just simple eggs. I'm going to over farm over just eggs amaji, as simple as that. So the recipe calls for unsalted butter. I have butter in the house, but I keep my butter in the fridge. I did not have the time to like put it out and set it and then let it like kind of just get to room temperature. So that next best thing is just margarine, which is Prestige. Prestige, for those of you who use it, especially if you're in Uganda, I don't know which other country sells Prestige, but it smells so good. And I figured, you know what, this is something I'm going to need in these cookies. Simple chocolate chip cookies, nothing too complicated. All these ingredients I used, I bought them right like the closest supermarket I can think of, apart from the dark chocolate that you'll see from Dairyland. That one I got it from a larger supermarket, but everything else I got from like much smaller places just close to my home. And the next thing, I put in some sugar, the normal like, sugar. And next, I'm going to put in this brown. I put in sorry, brown sugar. Thing about voiceovers is that I don't know if I'm supposed to use like past tense, present tense, present participle. I don't know, whatever it is. So that is that is when I put in like the brown sugar. Just it kind of gives it like that darker color, because I'm going to add like any cocoa, any powdered chocolate or something like that, just simple things. Then salt. So there is a YouTuber on here, a content creator and a chef from Texas, USA. He's called Joshua Weissman, and every time he bakes, he keeps saying like the same thing. He says whenever you're baking, you should use salt in one way or another, whether you're baking bread, whether you're baking something as simple as cookies, add some salt. There is a way, just in baked products, salt adds something. I don't remember what he said specifically. Nay, like omunyogina guchongeramu, that is actually very good. And I figured, you know what, I should always make sure I add salt to my things. So every single recipe, before I actually tried this particular one, I tried like a bunch, and I wasn't seeing like any salt in there. I was like, nah, they said salt is good for this, so I should actually add some salt. So next is soda bicarbonate or baking soda. You put that in, and then you have to whisk. I whisked for a bit, and then I felt like my arm was actually just going to like bug me, and yet I still had to cook like dinner. Wait, I still have to cook dinner, because right now, literally, as I'm recording this voice note, voiceover, I've just literally finished doing everything. I'm just waiting for like food to get ready so that we can actually eat. So I'm just doing this voiceover. Yeah, so I'm just doing this voiceover so that I don't have to like later edit and everything. I just want to do all the content at once. So after putting in the baking soda, I put in some cinnamon. There is something I found like so different about using cinnamon in cookies. I don't know, like the smell is just like to die for. So after the cinnamon, next thing I started adding flour. So the recipe I have originally, I had to double it like for this particular batch, because the people I'm making the cookies for are about, let me see, there is one team that has like 9 people, and then the others are like 3. So that's about 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 people. Yay! My math teacher would be so embarrassed. So I had to kind of multiply the recipe as I go. Now, one thing about me when I'm baking, especially since I know I'm not doing this professionally, this is just home cooking. much as the recipe calls for something, if I look at it and I see that, you know what, something is missing, because here this is just 1 cup of flour, and you can see that, you know what, this is so liquidy. It's something you're going to put like on a baking sheet, and it's going to like spread all over. So you have to like add a little bit more flour. And that's what I kept doing until I found the consistency that I want. What kind of consistency am I looking for? I'm looking for consistency that I can roll in my hands and it will not stick in my hands. Because already there is like some kind of margarine, the Prestige, that will make it like, how do I say it? It makes it oils it up, so I know it cannot stick on my hands. However, I also don't want it to be like very sticky because of the flour and the too much liquid. So you find like a balance. So for the recipe, don't worry, like for the recipe, I'm going to put it in the description of this video. I should remember to put it in the description of this video, but I kind of wrote it down because as I was recording, it was I have this board that my friend Angie got for me to use in the kitchen. So whenever I have like a recipe, I write it like on a paper and I just stick it to a board, and I put it right in front of me so that I do not forget, because these are recipes I'm getting off my phone and I'm using my phone to record. So it doesn't really make sense if I'm recording, then I have to pause and look for the recipe. No, I write it down and then I kind of keep following the prompts as I go. It's helpful. It just, I don't know, it makes more sense for me. So you see, like you add more flour and then the consistency kind of gets better. But for me, this is still not yet it. I feel like I want it to be a little bit thicker, because the chunks of chocolate you're going to put in, or the chocolate chips, for those of you who want that, the chocolate chips okay, I don't know, I haven't tried this recipe with chocolate chips. I've only used chocolate chunks. So the chunks you're going to put in are a little bit like, also they're not too tiny, so you want them to kind of like merge so well with like the dough mix, the cookie mix. Now it's so funny that I actually have a mixer. But this, when it has like, since I started making chocolate chip cookies, I prefer using my hands, like doing everything like very manually, especially for cookies. However, when I'm baking bread, please give me my mixer. Let me do everything. Let me simplify my own life. Let me give myself like that kind of princess treatment. But for cookies, I don't know why I'm so hands-on. I feel like that's how I need now. This is the consistency that I really wanted. And after that, I just think it is time to put in the chocolate chunks. So as I'll keep saying, whenever you're doing something, you kind of have to have like whatever you're going to need around you. It helps so much. So you would see like the kind of like the video skips to where, yeah, I have had everything prepared, because when I move from one session of the cooking to another session of the cooking, I have to make sure I have my things. So the thingy is already open, the chocolate bar, because I already used like part of the chocolate yesterday, but when I was making cookies yesterday, but man, I'm losing concept of time. Anyway, so the first thing you do is chop up like your chocolate into chunks. You also don't want it to make it you don't want to make it like too fine, but you also don't want it to make it like too big, but just like somewhere in the middle. So you cut in like the first, like across, then again across, like opposite the way you cut before, and then you kind of like go in and rough chop it up, because you want something that you can sprinkle like all in your dough, and then later like be able to put it in a bowl. Now when you leave it at that, much as they look fine on top, it means, because the chocolate bar is quite thick, this compound chocolate, it's quite thick, so you have to make sure you go in like again and just chop up like a little bit. Please, as you watch my videos, I just want to always emphasize something. I am not a professional chef. I have not gone to training or anything like that. I am just someone who has a passion for cooking. And I feel like for everything that I learned from my parents, for everything I learned from my mom growing up, I keep wanting to get better. So if I see a recipe, I'll try it. If I see something I feel like I want, I try it. But also I am big-headed enough to know that if I test something good somewhere else, I'm like, I know I can make it. Let me try. And I will definitely try until I feel like, oh, yeah, I can't do it. But I will do my best to try. And that is just something that has kind of guided me in this entire like path of mine. I'll try and learn as much as I can, because the information is out there, leave alone like those the years where recipes were kind of passed on like from one person to another. This is, I can check online if I need a recipe. Katichiba chinyamba kati. Which excuse can I use honestly? But also especially I started like falling more in love with cooking when I was at campus, because I kept telling myself, you know what, I want to be able to cook for my kids, like, and not just food. I want to make them like really nice snacks and to be known as that mom. So every time I look at my son, I'm like, I can't wait to like feed you like nice be snacks and everything. I can't wait for my home to be the home where all like my nieces and nephews and all the kids are like, oh no, let's go to Auntie Sal's. She cooks like quite well. Yeah, like inshallah, yeah Allah, please, yeah Allah, I beg you, let me be the kind of aunt. Let me be the food aunt, the one who's, because actually like Ugandan boarding schools, some boarding schools allow you to bring food. I'd want to be like that parent. Nga, my child's food, everyone is like, oh my god, the parent like really cooks well for their child. Like, I don't know, is this like, I don't want to show off per se, but I want to have that. I want to be known for that, because that's something my friends knew about my mom. Every single time my mom would come on visitation, guys, the food would slap. Like, Alhamdulillah, the food would slap. And even up to now, I am married. I live in my own home, but some days I keep thinking about my mom's food. Like, I haven't been able to make spaghetti and eggs, spaghetti and like egg sauce, like that mix, the way my mom makes it. And I really wish I could, because, anyway, back to the cooking. So I put the finer chopped chunks of chocolate, but then yesterday, whatever it is, custom montegera, I chopped like bigger chunks of chocolate, so some of them like remained. So I decided, you know what, for these cookies, I'm going to make a mix, some finely chopped and then some like really big chops. Now, after you do all that, it is time to put in the oven. While doing this, I had already preheated the oven at 175, 178, something like that, 180 degrees Celsius. Now, if you have your oven that is in Fahrenheit, you know what, Casta, you know the spelling. Yeah, if you have an oven that is in that, you kind of just convert. Does that come to like around 350 degrees Fahrenheit? Something like that. So I had preheated the oven for a bit, because you need like that sheer heat to kind of like enter the cookie. Wait, why am I even trying to sound so technical? You know what? Like, just preheat your oven. It kind of helps. I don't know how to explain why it helps, but it does help. Yeah, next thing is to roll out the cookies and put them on the pan, on the sheets, to make sure the cookies can be eaten in time. Now, one thing I'll tell you that I appreciate about cookies is that the cooking time is just so manageable. Because let me give you, I arrived home at around like 7. I arrived home at 7:11, 7:12, and then I got ready to like bake, and that's the first thing I did. But right now it is 9:48. Alhamdulillah, it's 9:48, and during that time I've been able to finish prepping the cookies, baking the cookies. I've now made dinner, and I'm making voiceovers before eating dinner. So Alhamdulillah, I do believe like if you really put in like your time and you prep quite well, it won't take you that long to make something. So while the cookies are in the oven, I realized I still had like some mix like left. So the next thing is to put in like batch number 2. The people actually like get their cookie, they make like this cookie dough mixture and then put it in the freezer, like freeze it up and then later bake. I believe, me personally, I don't, much as I freeze like so many things, for cookies I kind of just prefer making like a large batch and then putting it like in a cookie jar and then later just eat, because let's be honest, cookies don't really last in this home. If I bake them like today, I know for a fact if all these I had baked like strictly for home consumption, today being a Wednesday, I know by Friday they would be done, which means they wouldn't actually get spoiled, because we love the cooking. Now, Do not spoil any, do not drop like any kind of mix. So like a very little one, we also add that in there, as you can see. Now it's time to also put those in the oven. After that, finish baking up. Now, ding, 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 the alarm sounded because that was halftime. Now, this is something I do that is very, very weird, but I've also like seen some creators do it, especially people who are professional chefs, that while the cookies are baking halfway, they take them out and they kind of like just slam them onto the table to just, I don't know, or they flatten it a bit more, but that's something they do. And then I got this cookie cutter to kind of like make my cookies a little bit more round, just to have that kind of consistency. But I don't even know why I needed to do this because it actually turned out well. Like the second batch, don't so around because you also don't want to be like so precise and everything. This is not industry. I'm not making this for an industrial purpose. These are for home consumption. So after putting that in, after like shaking them up, put them back inside the oven, and this is what they turned out, guys. I'll tell you for a fact because I'm now speaking after eating Koda cookies. Alhamdulillah, mashallah, the cookies were very delicious. Tasty. Like, okay, the one I tasted, like, because I tasted that one, the one, like a baby cookie, that one. But this is what I had. Now, to get this kind of color, because if I had left them to actually bake for the time they were supposed to bake, it would have been a little bit like lighter. But I wanted to get it like to have that slightly darker like hue on it. So I left them in for a bit, and this is what we turned out with. These look so gorgeous, and they taste equally delicious. So I've packed, this is the tin I'm taking. I'm just going to kind of leave it open for now. Those will eat, and then that one is the one I ate, guys. It's the one I ate. So thank you so much for watching my video. Kindly subscribe, like, and comment. See you in the next video. Bye bye.